John, how are you feeling right now about this UK economy?
Overall, I would say very disappointed, because I think Labour are doing a lot of things that are arguably very wrong. They are doing a lot of things that are right as well. So, you know, there's some good stuff coming down the pipeline that will make a difference. But for me, everything feels like too little, too late. There isn't that dynamicism that I would expect out of leaders. I mean, we never get that with politicians. We know that. We very rarely get real action, and action that is the correct action done in a proper way. But, you know, it really feels as though Labour are slow off the mark, and this is crucial for the UK economy.
Slow off the mark. What kind of score would you get? How would you grade this Labour government then at this point, John? I mean, you talked about the need for GDP growth, for a focus on the environment. The outlook for growth is expected to be cut later today. Inflation has made a bit of progress, but we face potential tariff threats. There is still concern about how much fiscal firepower this government has. How would you grade this Labour government at this point?
Well, that's an interesting question, Tom, because first of all, I have to say there's two answers to that. One's an absolute answer and one's a relative answer. Relative to how I consider that the other parties would have performed, I think they're doing okay. In absolute terms, I would expect them to do a lot more and a lot quicker and be smarter. I think some of their measures and actions that they've taken, especially in the budget, were wrong. There's so much more that they can do to attract inward investment. I think they're relying on certain actions that they've taken to improve the economy over the next 3 or 4 years. But the actions that they've taken, I don't personally think will have a significantly positive effect to really match up with anywhere near my expectations.
So, John, what is the policy prescription then? What would you put at the top of your list that this government should reach for, should target to reinvigorate the growth of the UK economy?
Gosh, that's a whole day's discussion, but let's just pin it down to 2 or 3 things. Firstly, really cutting the state sector cost. We've got 1.2 trillion of state spending. If I couldn't cut 3 or 4% off that, which would be 30 to 40 billion pounds a year, if I couldn't do that quickly and effectively without damaging the country's economy, then I would sack myself without any shadow of a doubt. That's the first thing. The second thing alongside that, which is a bit slower, but attract inward investment. Now, Labour say they're doing that by deregulating planning and by deregulating in general, and absolutely that is an important factor in any country's economy and attracting inward investment. But they need to do so much more, and it's no good relying on deregulation to do the job. We need an attractive package to go to businesses all around the world. And I have literally been preaching for now 5 years, first of all to the Tories, that we need to attract the very highest technological companies into Britain, and especially those to do with the environment, because without doubt, environmental technologies, intellectual and product, will be a massive export item in the future. And if we became the Silicon Valley of the environment and technology, Britain's future would be absolutely assured.
John, it's interesting. It sounds like in terms of cutting costs, you think we should have kind of a DOGE, a Department of Government Efficiency here in the UK. But I know you're also kind of touting the idea that we could benefit from a kind of brain drain as well out of the US. Do we need our own DOGE?
Well, yeah, but not DOGE as it's being done by Elon Musk. Absolutely not. No, it needs to be done selectively, intelligently, and slower than that. You can't do it like it's happening in the States without really damaging the infrastructure. You have to make intelligent decisions on every single person, and that would take probably, realistically, a couple of months if you're assessing, say, 600,000 civil servants. And by the end of a couple of months, you'd have people in red, amber, green. The reds, what you would know you need to get rid of. The ambers you need to make better or make more efficient. And the greens are all go. And that would take at least a couple of years. You can't just go in and sack people willy-nilly. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong.
John, was scrapping the non-don status the right move?
No, totally wrong. Totally wrong. You know, it was wrong on two issues. It was wrong financially for the country, and it was wrong from a fairness point of view. And let me put the fairness point of view first of all. If people came to the UK 2 or 3 years ago for non-dom status, and most of the worldwide earnings that have been achieved whilst in other places, whether it was Dubai, Monaco, wherever it was, if their earnings had been achieved somewhere else, why should they have to pay tax on their entire earnings suddenly 2 years later, having lived in the UK? That's not fair. It's not fair. It's not right. But equally, it's driving them back into places like Milan and Monaco and Dubai. And we cannot afford those moneymakers.
Are you seeing some of those moneymakers snapping up your flats in Mayfair, John? How's that going? It's been a tough environment for the high end when it comes to the London property market. Are you seeing decent sales?
We're definitely
okay, and what's the pricing like?
We're definitely seeing a big interest in American interest. There's a lot of Americans coming over now and looking for apartments and talking about citizenship in the UK. So that's positive. On the negative side, we're definitely losing very wealthy people into Monaco, Milan and Dubai, and that's really disturbing.